Hey, what's up, fam? Good to see you. It's the Broke Capitalist coming at you. Yeah, I couldn't wait to do this video, and I got a series of videos I'm gonna do. But someone who follows the channel suggested that I check out Tom McDonald, one of his, it's a white rapper, blah blah blah. But unbeknownst to Everett, shout out to Everett, I did a video on him. But his suggestion was to look at some reactions to his videos. And just so happens that these guys came across my YouTube feed and they were doing a reaction to Thomas Sowell. And I was like, you know what? I think I want to do a reaction to a reaction of Thomas Sowell. And then I started seeing other people doing reactions to Thomas Sowell. So I think that's what I'm gonna do. Maybe I can, bridge some knowledge gaps or give more of an explanation based off of my research of Thomas Sowell. If you can see behind me here, he's got like 40 something books. I ain't gonna say I got all of them, but I got a lot of them. So without further ado, let's check these guys out, or these man and woman, check them out and see what they got to say as they are introduced to Thomas Sowell for the first time, apparently. And shout out to them. Let me back up. Shout out to them, because I don't care if they agree with him or disagree with him. The very fact that they're listening, and like someone said, a mind is like a parachute. It only works if you open it. So the fact that they, even though they may have heard, oh, Thomas Sowell hates his race from someone, they were like, you know what? Let me go check this out for myself. Awesome.
Welcome to I Digress. Today we got a spicy one. Gonna be reacting to some Thomas Sowell. Now here's what I know about him. It's not much. I know he's an economist. I know he's apparently a really smart dude. I've heard some black people pretty much be like, oh, he hates his race. Which, of course, man, like I should watch this guy. I should see what they're talking about. He's talking about black culture. This may be triggering.
I mean, they said the same thing about Ice Cube. And I'm team him. So
now I'm not gonna go through and fact check anything he said.
Hey, Ice Cube, has Democrats called you back yet?
Hey, right now, this is just kind of like a first kind of glance, absorb what he's saying, see how I feel about it type thing.
Yeah, okay.
Well, let me read what you say in your preface. You say, let me state here, and now that these essays do not mean, 1, all Southern whites were or are rednecks; 2, all black Americans today or in the past were or are black rednecks. One cannot predict, you write, much less forestall all the clever misinterpretations that others might put on one's words. The most that can be done is to alert honest people to the problem. Black rednecks, who are they?
These would be blacks who came out of the Southern culture and who carried that culture with them, north into the urban ghettos, into the ghettos of the South for that matter, and who have not moved out of that culture since. Over the years, both blacks and whites have moved away from that culture. But in the poorest and worst of the ghetto areas, there are lots of people who have not. And these kinds of, it's a culture which didn't do whites any good, and it's certainly not doing blacks any good today. And the tragedy is that people regard this culture as somehow the authentic black culture, and therefore you're not to interfere with it.
I'm proud to be a bartender. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
I don't feel no ways tired.
Woo. Hey, man, I'm not even gonna lie to you. Hillary Clinton pandering is triggering to me. Oh my gosh. When that Breakfast Club, when she said she had hot sauce in her purse.
What's something that you always carry with you?
Hot sauce.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you getting information right now?
I come too far from where I started from.
That was really cringy.
Now I can do a whole video series on that alone, but I would just like to let you know, the black vote in America is one of the most powerful things on planet Earth. Without the black population, The stuff that you're seeing right now, all these crazy policies that are being pushed through, could not be pushed through if we didn't blindly vote for Democrats.
After the Second World War, you've got large numbers of American troops remaining in Germany. For that matter, there's still several tens of thousands there today. And both black and white American soldiers had children with German women. And Flynn discovered that those children growing up in Germany showed no IQ differences at all. The black kids and the white kids, the same. Professor Flynn concluded that the reason was that the offspring of black soldiers in Germany grew up in a nation with no black subculture, close quote. Which means what? Which means they experienced exactly the same expectations. Is this the thing?
No. The expectations are external.
Before Tom gets into his spiel here, I'm digging the music. I just wanted to say that. I'm digging the music.
Culture in which they grew up was not the culture in which black kids grew up in America today.
So they had
There's no gangster rap that was pervasively available in Germany.
So here's what I'm getting. There is something about black subculture in America today that holds African Americans themselves back.
Yes, because
This feels oddly racist just because there's a white guy there. And that cough was because you're guilty.
Yeah.
You think it's some merit to what he's saying?
Yeah, I think black culture is harmful. You know, we've talked about this.
Yeah.
We've talked about my favorite rapper is 2 Chainz. Favorite and best are not the same thing, but 2 Chainz got a little sauce on it. It makes me feel good. It makes me feel like a trap star. You know what I mean? And I am from Frisco, Texas. So you should Google it. So that's clearly not, you know, I wasn't throwing bands in the trap house by any
It's a
means.
rich suburb of
Frisco
Dallas.
has rich people that live there. Not everybody there is rich. I can't necessarily say that I was a rich kid.
I didn't say you. I'm just saying, like,
you
the
say
suburb.
Frisco is rich.
Yeah, like I lived in Montgomery County. We were on Section 8, but it's still one of the richest counties in America.
Okay. With that, I'll take it.
You're not gonna take away my thug card, nigga.
I'm just saying.
Exactly. So in one of these books down here that I wrote, Our Two Societies, I mentioned how when I was in junior high, I'm probably their parents' age, I don't know, at least an uncle, right? But when I was in junior high and elementary, I wasn't the dumb kid. I was the obnoxious, just causing problems, silly. The term was called mischievous back in the day. I wasn't beating up people or shooting people. I let other people do that. But there was this common, why you acting white? You know, if you studying, which for me, to be honest, in elementary school and junior high, I didn't study at all. I just got better than average grades not studying. Because basically our teachers was more concerned about our physical health than our, ability to get into college, because they didn't think we lived to 18. But with that said, I said in the book below, that our culture had basically given a copyright to excellence, to academic excellence, by saying, if you are Black and you're getting A's and B's, or you're reading a book or something, you're acting white. You're giving white people this copyright on excellence. And the only way we can get access to that copyright is if we license it, so to speak. Now I got to act white instead of just acting studious, right? Acting like a good student, I'm acting white. But like this program says, I digress.
Lap dance in the trap house. Okay, but the point is that man has his master's.
Oh yeah,
and
2 Chainz.
he didn't even like get it in prison or something.
know that.
You know,
Yeah,
like,
it's not like honorary.
you know, so it's just kind of like, okay, these are our scholars, and that's the example that they're setting. This is what, you know, all the other young men are striving to be, you know. So I can't necessarily say that this man, you know, he's spitting. He's spitting.
Yeah, it's rubbing.
I don't like it. I do disagree with the black vernacular thing, though.
Yeah, we had that conversation. I think that's
You
just
know?
a conversation for another.
It's a conversation for another day. It is. It is. I'm just saying. I don't agree with that part of what he said, but so far I think he's firing on all cylinders.
I've heard you say, Tom, when you were a boy growing up in Harlem yourself, your own neighborhood felt totally safe to you.
Not totally safe. I wouldn't exaggerate, but it's nothing resembling today. I mean, I did sleep on hot nights. I would sleep out on the fire escape. When I tell people in Harlem that today, they think I'm from another galaxy, you know. But that people slept on the fire escapes in New York and in the public parks in the 30s, all over the city. Because it was not a jump.
In the 30s, how old is this man?
Oh, like 90.
Back in 1796, I mean.
I take responsibility.
Idiot.
I take responsibility.
Idiot.
I take responsibility.
Idiot.
Black people are being slaughtered in the streets, killed in their own homes.
By
These are our brothers and sisters, our friends, our family. We are done watching them die.
How do you define a white liberal?
Said no white liberal ever. I was looking at some statistic. I think at the height of the Klan, the second iteration of the Klan, if y'all didn't know, there was two. The second iteration of the Klan basically started in the Wilson administration. But at their height, I think over a 3-year period, they were like, anyway, there were less people hanged, Black people hanged during those 3-year periods, during that 3-year period, than 1 year in Chicago or something like that. Something ridiculous like that when you're comparing the narrative to reality, right? You got all these Hollywood movie stars taking responsibility for what? That puts them in a position of power. That's that Superman complex. Oh, if I just do better, these poor Black people will be better off. Nah, if you just hold Black people to the same standards you hold your own children, maybe you'll have a different way of looking at the problems of the perceived problems of Black America. But again, I digress. I don't know if that was an appropriate thing to say. Hold Black people to the same standards of your children, because I didn't know what some of their children could be on crack. I don't know, but anyway, bad analogy.
Those kinds of people who have the kinds of attitudes that are called liberal in the United States, although the word is misused, those people have created an atmosphere in which these counterproductive cultures are to be celebrated, perpetuated, and the consequences overlooked. It reminds me of
the most important thing he said there was the consequences are overlooked. I often ask this question, it's rhetorical, by one of my favorite groups of all times, the NWA. And I often wonder, like, I know Ice Cube, I'm pretty sure he was raised by both parents, but as far as DJ Yella, Ren, Eazy-E, and is that all of them? Anyway, I don't think they were raised by a father or had a father in the house. And I wonder, because they were raised, we're all around the same age. And so the typical father, if you have one in the household, you kind of had that James Evans, they kind of had that James Evans vibe from Good Times, like disciplinarian, loved you, but it was tough love, right? If all those guys had that type of father in the house, do you think NWA would have ever existed? I don't think so. I don't think you can get 5 dads back in the 80s to say, yeah, son, why don't you write that song called F the Police? That's a good idea. Yeah, you're going to get Fire in Life doing that. Now, with that said, they did get Fire in Life. But I'm just saying, like like Thomas Sowell is saying that white liberals celebrate a culture and praise a culture that hurts the people in the culture, and they ignore all the consequences, right?
The scene in the Blue Max where this general is encouraging this daredevil pilot to do all kinds of wild stunts, you see, knowing that the guy's going to kill himself if he keeps doing this, and therefore the general will be rid of a political problem. Now, I don't think that the white liberals are doing this deliberately, but I think the net results are the same. They are cheering blacks on and doing things that are absolutely self-destructive.
What do you think of that? Of what he said about white liberals?
Yeah. White liberals don't have a conversation of whether something is right or wrong. It's only whether something should be accepted.
That's a
should be accepted. That's the worldview. Thomas Sowell talks about this in Conflicts of Vision, I believe, another book that he wrote. Some people see the world how, I'm really paraphrasing here, but certain people see the world how it is, and certain people see the world how it ought to be. And there's that's not an absolute. Everybody has a little bit of both in them, but mainly liberals, especially the progressive left, sees the world as it ought to be this way. Let's make a rule so it can be that way. But in passing that rule, the effect is always, if I can't think of an exception. Now, I don't know everything, but more often than not, it actually hurts in the long run the people that they're supposedly trying to help. Let's take the crack cocaine, the disparity in time served for crack versus cocaine. Well, it was the Black Caucus that passed that law, progressive left. I digress.
For me, it seems like, especially recently, it just seems like white liberals are all for black people unless they have a difference of view than them.
Like, and give me an example.
Like when you look at that whole thing that happened with it's not Cardi B, but what's the other one that Cardi B dethroned with the multiple? She had the multiple personalities. She was schizophrenic. Yeah, she had a big old butt, the anaconda butt. Nicki Minaj, the schizophrenic. You don't know the schizophrenic?
Okay, go on.
But she had this post about CV19 and the jab, and she was pretty much like talking about how she wasn't gonna get it, and pretty much everyone started calling her like a neo little mustache, you know what I'm saying, and right wing and all this stuff, and she's just like, yo, what? So I don't agree with y'all, and all of a sudden I'm all of these things, and it's just like, as long as we kind of support their side, they're with us, you know what I'm saying? But if we don't become one of their strength in numbers, I think we see them turn real quick. It's an illusion. And that being said, I don't think liberals, Democrats, Republicans, or conservatives are a friend. I don't think blue or red is a friend of black people. I'm gonna just go ahead and say it. It's not an issue of blue or red for me. But what I do think is,
I think it's a great time to mention what Thomas Sowell said in one of these books. I think it's Conquest and Cultures. Conquest of Cultures, Conquest and Cultures. I can't remember. But in his research, international research, he came to the conclusion that no group of people has gone from poverty to prosperity via politics. So in that regard, he's absolutely right. Red or blue is not going to get a community of people out of the projects into the, Upper East Side or whatever. Not to say there's not a group of people in that population that won't get paid, and those, they typically go by the name of race hustlers. But he's absolutely right. If you're dependent on certain policies to get a whole group of people into a prosperous situation is never happened on planet Earth. What does work is if that group of people concern themselves with obtaining skills other people are willing to pay for. Pretty simple.
That at least with one side, we know they may or may not want us to be slaves again. You know what I'm saying? It's like they're kind of open about that. The other side, I think they lying through their teeth, yo. Let me not say lying. I don't think it's intentional, but their love is conditional. And I don't think a lot of Black people can see that. You know what I mean?
If Black people couldn't vote, do you think that, like, democratic elections and that liberalism, do you think that would all look this?
Hell no.
Would they pander to us? Hell no. Hell no. Hell no. Look, I grew up playing in church for a long time. I played in storefront churches that are literally like storefronts, and like the church is somebody's family. Like everybody in there related to, like, you know, big Black mega churches with tens of thousands of members. And I've seen this like clockwork, especially for the bigger, medium to bigger churches. Man, you see them blue ties coming around every election time of the year. Every election time of the year, they start coming around and it's like, hey, you know, I love fried chicken too. Praise the Lord. And it's just like the pander is real. And for me, I mean, they're doing what they're supposed to do, like foxes are going to do what foxes do. My disappointment has always been with the pastors that slutted out their congregation to these political parties that came around every single time they needed, you know, our vote and our strength, and then was gone for the whole election term. Yeah, I do not think that there would be, what? If,
like I said, I think maybe people are coming around to understand the power of the Black vote. It's the spearhead for these progressive left policies. And these politicians, they come around as protectors. You know, we're going to protect you from the racists hiding in the bushes. And then the Black community elects them, and then they disappear. We have to remember that these people are supposed to be our representatives, not our leaders in some fight against whatever. They're our representatives. And you can all remember this if you're my age or maybe close to my age, when your parents or your mom or your dad sent you to the store and said, son or daughter, go get me a pack of cigarettes or a soda or, you know, whatever. And you go as your parents' representative to go buy whatever. Now, if your parents said, go get me a pack of cigarettes back in the 70s, and you came back with a honey bun, what's your parents gonna do? Like, what the hell's wrong with you? I told you cigarettes, not honey bun, but I want to share this honey bun with you. So I thought, you know, I just get a honey bun and hopefully we can split this honey bun. No, you take this honey bun and your butt back to the store and get my cigarettes, right? They're representatives, not leaders. And we put them in a position to represent us, not lead us. I digress.
If we still, what, they wouldn't talk, they wouldn't know us. They wouldn't be marching for no Black Lives Matter. No.
So to be fair, same question. Would that apply to anybody? Like if Mexicans couldn't vote, would it be the same thing? Or if gay people, LGBTQ, if they couldn't vote, would it be the same thing? Is that just kind of the way the cookie crumbles, or?
Two different things. Mexicans, I think they would be in the same boat. LGBT or whatever, that is them. That's their interest.
Okay, you know how they say gay rights are human rights, so civil rights are human rights, or whatever, like making it all the same thing. Because it's been made the same thing, I think it's going to be hard to see why the interest is different. So why is the Black interest different than the liberal interest, but the gay interest is the same as the liberal?
The gay interest is the liberal interest that was tacked on to civil rights. A lot of the groundwork that the LGBT, and shout out to them, this isn't against them, but it's just facts. A lot of the groundwork that they have used to be able to gain what they have gained is the groundwork that the civil rights movement has done. You know what I'm saying? The reality situation is, it's like during the civil rights movement, it started with just Black people, and then some liberals got involved. And then all of a sudden, the civil rights movement went from being a Black thing to being a Black thing, a woman thing, a gay thing. Like, it's all of these things got lumped in together, and it's like, no.
I'm gonna go off a little bit here. I'm not disagreeing with them. I'm just gonna add, or agreeing. I'm just adding to the conversation. In my opinion, the civil rights movement of the 60s was a movement that wanted to force the country of America and its laws to recognize God-given rights, equality. These rights are, whatever Thomas Jefferson said, these inalienable rights, right? They wanted a group of human beings incorporated into that God-given right. Now, the LGBTQ community, in my opinion, is different in that they want the government to bestow upon them rights, which is slightly different. Now, you could say the LGBTQ community is looking to add themselves into God-given rights, right? But then you got this disconnect with a lot of religious people like, nah. So I think they were able to tack that on under the left, the progressive left, because you do have conservative that are in the LGBTQ community, and but I think the vast majority are on the left and progressive left. I think their perspective on that issue, the game plan, so to speak, was, it's probably easier to get us under government-given rights, which is totally left-leaning, as opposed to God-given rights, which is totally right-leaning. But the freedom fighters of the civil rights movement weren't looking for rights from the government. They were looking for acknowledgement of their rights as a God-given right. That's my opinion.
No disrespect, only one group in there has been enslaved. So I don't know how they're all on equal footing. Now, when you hear things talked about, it's not a Black issue, it's a minority issue. It's this intersection. It's all these things. And it's like Black has been washed down with all these other, it's just a bucket of oppressed now.
Yeah, and that's how the left gets their votes. The more oppressed people there are, the more those people look for a leader to get them out of oppression. I need somebody to get this iron foot off my neck. So the more people they can equate with oppression, maybe you're not oppressed, maybe you're a white liberal and you got a nice house on the hill. Well, you don't want to be associated with racism, do you? No, I hate racism. That's appalling. Well, why would you vote for someone who appears to be racist? Well, I'm not going to do that. Well, why don't you vote for this personality? They don't appear to be racist. Okay, I'll vote for them. You can care less. Maybe you can care less one way or another about the LGBTQ community. Like, you don't hate them, you don't love them, whatever. I don't never see them, whatever. I don't know nobody. Don't bother me at all. But if you don't vote for them, what does that say about you? See how it works?
You know what I mean? And to the point where it's like, you got people, the LGBT, whatever, talking to us crazy, like, like we weren't the ones enslaved. You don't know what it's like. We don't know. Really?
You know, it's kind of funny, like how you said, I don't know if I overthought it, but like you said, it's like a bucket of oppressed. And it's just like, okay, so Black people like are the most concentrated in the oppression. So they like sink to the bottom of the bucket.
You're way smarter than I am.
I like that.
Like the manifesto of the BLM or whatever. How they changed it, but in the beginning, it used to say like, we're literally here to dismantle the traditional family structure. And that was in the BLM manifesto.
Now, I told you this before, and I'm gonna end this here because it's gonna run a little long, but out of this book, you know, back in the 60s, the African American Teachers Association of New York basically stated that individualism and personal merit was a myth perpetuated by whites to create Black versions of white middle class, Black versions of the white middle class, or Black Anglo-Saxons. The African Americans Teachers Association out of New York called for an alternative Black value system based on principles of collective work, socialism, and responsibility, socialism, cooperative economics and unity. Giftedness in Black children could be measured by a willingness to challenge authority. And you can see that in Black culture since the 60s. You know, militantism, we're going to oppose the system, you know, that's how you get NWA, NWA. Yeah, this is evident of that. I mean, the dude wrote the future was happening here, and he was absolutely right. Let me let them finish up.
How does that help Black people when we don't have fathers in the home? And that's the number one thing destroying our families and our community.
And, you know, to destroy the patriarchy, which is basically the smallest patriarchy, is dad, you know, mom, kids, right? And Black Lives Matter, and I appropriately wore the shirt today, No Lives Matter, with my man Jason on here. No, Michael Myers, sorry. Whoever he is. Yeah, they wanted to destroy, well, Black Lives Matter, I mean, they're trained Marxists, and they want to destroy the patriarchal structure, just like Marxists did, like Marx did. How is that supposed to help the Black community when our main problem is the lack of fathers?
That doesn't help us. So it's like, no, like our goals are not necessarily aligned. You know what I mean? And even if you look at Black churches, like Black churches vote at a rate of 90%, Black people vote as a rate of 90% Democrat. You go to Black churches, they're all blue. It's hard to find a Republican Black church. It's like, hey, thine eyes have never seen. You understand? But you go to some of these churches and you be like, yo, man, like, you Democrats? Like, yes, absolutely. Like, the Republicans are racist. Like, okay, cool, fair enough, baby. Like, you cool with all this LGBTQs that whoa, there's 13 lights in here. Never seen that before. And it's just like, when you start getting down to it, it's like, nah, I'm not here for that. I'm here for the stuff that they did, the pandering. They said they was gonna do stuff for us. They said they was gonna give us some money, and that other stuff, I don't know nothing about that.
All right, I'm gonna end it with these guys here. Hey, check out their channel, man. Give these guys some love. They did follow-ups on More Thomas Sowell. I might, you know, do a reaction to their reaction. I don't know, but yeah, their channel is I Digrxss. You see at the bottom here. Go check them out, man. They're doing great things. I love the music in the background and all that. But they bring up the most important thing is that they are not just hearing people say, oh, Thomas Sowell is, you know, he hates his race. They're like, wait a minute, let me check this dude out. And if you do it, man, I'm telling you, you can't debate. Thomas Sowell is the man, period. And he's just facts, and more facts. All right, y'all. I hope you enjoyed this. Let me know what you thought. If I got something wrong, or if you think I got something wrong, whatever. Start a conversation. I'll try and keep up as much as I can. Peace. I'm out. Until the next time.